What if you could build a 7-figure business that supports your family, your faith, and your freedom without relying on social media? Today on the Crush the Rush podcast, I'm joined by Stefani Gass, who is a Christian business coach and host of the top-ranked online business for Christian women podcast. And Stefani has built a thriving business using podcasting as her core growth strategy. So we're going to go deep into that. And she's going to walk us through exactly what she did. She goes through her full podcasting method, how she has structured her team, her weekly workflow, and what she would do differently if she were starting from scratch today. Plus, she gives us some inside tips on how she is juggling family life and business and really putting that life first priority on how she does things. This episode is so packed with clarity and strategy and serious encouragement because at the end, you're going to want to make sure to check the show notes for access to Stefani's free 5-day Profitable Podcast Bootcamp. It is a must listen if you are ready to grow and scale with purpose. So let's dive into the interview. Hello, Stefani. Welcome to the Crush the Rush podcast. I am dying for this episode. I'm so excited.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So this is a fun day because Stefani and I are doing like back-to-back recordings. I always like to share behind the scenes. And I feel like we're really aligned in what we teach and how we teach it, but teach different things. And one of the things that we like to ask when we first kick off our interview is, what does a life priorities first business mean to you?
Yeah. Life priorities business to me means putting my faith first and my family second, myself and health third, and then the wealth is last. Mm-hmm. And I think the beauty of building a business that's structured that way is just really keeping your order and priorities in check. And when we have that order, work fitting in where it actually fits in ultimately allows you to show up with a ton of intention. Because if I only have, for me as a CEO at the level that I am now, I have 20 hours max to work in my business each week. And that's it. But if I was going the other way around, I might say, well, I think I have 40 hours.
Yeah.
And I may accidentally build a life in the margins of what I think I need to be a high level CEO. And that's not actually the case. And so when it fits in behind all the other things that matter the most, that's how you're going to show up with a lot more intentionality and just get stuff done.
Yeah. I want to go deep first. And when people listen, they're like, you've had a business for a long time. You have a very successful business. And people hear 20 hours and they're like, how? What does that look like for you?
Today, what does the 20 hours look like? Yeah. So funny that you bring this up because I know you have your theme days, Holly, and I do too. So my boys now, praise the Lord, are in school now because I remember what it was like to try to build this when they were still little and at home. And that season did look different. It looked different when I was in corporate America like you. But today, they go to school. And so I'm able to work while they are at school. And Monday, it looks like 9-ish to 1 or 8:30 to 1. It's task day. So on Mondays, I'm doing anything that I have to do that's a task, like things my team needs from me, reviewing the newsletters, sending an email story to my marketing manager, any little task. On Tuesdays, it's roughly the same time bucket, and it's called internal call day. So that day, I'm having a meeting with my operations manager. We might have a marketing meeting. I have my own mastermind that I'm in. We meet that day. Anything like that, so that I know I can semi get ready, but I don't have to do the full, I can still be in my comfies because it's, my team and my friends. Yeah. Wednesdays is roughly the same time and it's content day. So Wednesdays, I'm doing 2 podcasts because I batch, and we also do YouTube now, which was a new initiative about a year ago. And so I do those 2 pieces of content on Wednesdays. Thursday is external call day, which is, Holly, we talked about this on my show, but we got to get ready. We got to get ready from the waist up. We still have our sweatpants on, guys. Do not get it twisted. But this is where I'm doing podcast interviews, PR, virtual summits, anything like that. And then Friday is now off. So I'm off on Fridays. And that was something that was a goal for many, many years before it could be a reality. But today it is a reality unless we have a launch going on or a special project. That's where that will go in the overflow day.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like there might be just this underlying like goal of anyone that works in corporate to have Fridays off, because I feel like when I wake up on Friday, like my brain is in a different place. It's nope, can't happen today. It's Friday.
I'm like, I just want to go to Trader Joe's today and wash my car and like maybe do my Bible study without a timeline on it. Like that, I just wanted to have a free day because it's so hard now too with the ages our kids are.
Yeah.
We have sports and we have everything is constantly going. And it was like, if I could just have this one day to feel a little bit more gray space. Yeah. And sometimes work will come in, right? Because we have gray space on even if it's an afternoon. And obviously guys, listen, like it is a goal that you're going to goal towards, because until I had the team that could run the ship without me, that wasn't a possibility. But having those goals in mind of, hey, when we get to X number or when my team looks like this, I will be able to have this goal. It just allows a lot more fruit in your life because you have that gray space and that margin.
Yeah. Would you be open to sharing who you have on your team? Because I think a lot of people are listening. And one of the things that we talk about quite a bit is like making that first hire, and it feels really scary. But then on the flip side, you have time to go to Trader Joe's by yourself, which is like a dream for me. This is amazing. And I already joke, I just want to go to yoga at 10 a.m. one day.
Exactly.
But I do feel like if you hire the right people, they should be doing income producing activities. And then that in turn gives you more focus with the things that you want to do.
100%. And I think at the level that you're at, you really have to be wise about what kind of goals you are setting. And also realizing like some goals are going to seem silly and frivolous to someone else, but to you, maybe that really matters, right? I just want to be able to take a walk, or I just want to have a day where I can catch up on laundry. That may seem like a small, trivial thing, but when you make it tangible and real to you, those goals actually become something that matters so much to the outcome of who you become. Because, you know, for me, like the state of my house is the state of my mind, and I would love time to be able to keep up with my home. Or for me, faith is the number one, you know, thing that matters the most to being able to have a peaceful, God-led position as a CEO. And so I've got to have that half an hour in the morning to journal, to get into the word, to pray. And those are those goals that you guys want to set. And so often they are based on team and capacity. And so, you know, what it looks like today is going to be very different from where you guys start. So just keep that in mind. But I think this is a great structure for anybody who usually over 7 figures. This is what I would say a team organization would look like. So we have 3 major legs in our company. We have operations, we have student success in the middle, and then we have marketing over on the right. So in my operations department, I have an operations manager, and she is literally my left brain. And she is the reason, like if I wanted to take a sabbatical for months, like I could do it because of this person. Okay. This is the person who's running everything for you. Some people call it a vision, an integrator. But for me, it's an operations manager. And under her is our operations assistant. And then they have an intern. And that intern is earning her way into my program. So we have an internship, which you'll see as I go through the legs. Yeah. In the middle with student success, I have a student success manager. Okay. And she's in charge of, we have one core offer that we have here. And she's in charge of all the coaches because it's very high touch. It's an evergreen program. It runs all year long. So my students can come in all year, and we have the one lead coach, another lead coach under her, and they're the ones that run office hours with my students. They also manage the other coaches and the community and all of our students. We have 4 coaches under them who are our community coaches, and they are in there answering every single thing, right, that your students might need and might want. Yeah. Then that's it for student success leg. And then on marketing, I have a marketing manager. She's in charge of copywriting, email marketing, PR, lead generation. And under her, we have a marketing assistant, an ads manager, a graphic designer, and a marketing intern, a few different interns as well under marketing. Like they do the comments on the socials. They do helping with some of the PR work. And then I know I'm missing interns. We have 5 or 6 interns.
I'm obsessed with the intern. I feel like we need a whole new podcast on interns.
I'm telling you, it's so good because so many people want to do your program and may not be in the financial position to do that. And they have a skill set. Like we have Pinterest interns, we have blogging interns, we have the Facebook group interns, we have the operations intern, and then the marketing interns.
That's such a cool idea. Yeah. We need to have a whole nother conversation about that. Okay. I just, for me, I learn from what other people are doing. And I think if you're listening, this is a great example of how to structure a team. If you were looking to make a first hire, who do you think that person would be?
Definitely an operations assistant is what we call it, or a VA is usually typically what it's called. Because the reality is, guys, anything you are doing that's repetitious and it's the same process over and over and over again should be something that you document. And we do a Loom, so we record ourselves doing it. It becomes an SOP, which is a standard operating procedure. And that now can be handed to anybody to rinse and repeat that job over and over. Most of it's going to be administrative when we get started, right? We're in our own inbox. We're booking clients. We are creating the same graphic over and over from a Canva link. Like, it's these things that are rinse and repeat that we need to get off of you as the business owner and CEO so that you can be free to create more content, to do some podcast guesting, or those things that help to actually grow the brand instead of being behind the scenes in the weeds.
Yeah, I love this. Okay, I want to pivot a little bit because you and I are, I think, equally obsessed with podcasting. You have a very successful podcast that you've had for a really long time. And so, similar to us, podcasting is your main growth strategy. What gave you the confidence or the idea to have that sort of be the hub of everything?
Well, unlike you, I wasn't like, I'll have podcasting be first. I had to do it the hard way, Holly. So I left corporate America. I got laid off of my corporate job. Goodness, it was like 17 years ago now or something. And I had this great corporate career. It was right before we had kids. And I was at this crossroad of, am I going to find another corporate job, or do I want to try my hand at working from home? We're ready to have kids. I want to do the family thing. So I joined network marketing. That was a hot mess, dismal failure. 4 years later, it was all gone. It was quicksand. I built this business on quicksand, left me broke. For me, faith is a huge piece of who I am. And so I got to this moment where it was like, Lord, I cannot build this myself again because I just literally wasted 4 or 5 years of my life. Like, I have to do what you're calling me to do, but I don't know what that is. And so I was really in this surrendered, broken down posture. I had 2 little babies at that time. And I decided, like, social media, that's how I'll build an online business. And so I started just Instagram 24/7, right, Holly? It was like, it was actually 4 to 5 hours a day because I had to make the stories. I had to do the reels. When I would finally get a bite, I'd take it to the DMs. And so then I'm having a whole DM conversation and trying to get a client here and there. At the time, I was helping people with like sales and marketing online because I had built a very successful network marketing business. I knew how to sell. Yeah. So that's kind of what I was doing. But it was like one client a month at the expense of my kids, right? My sanity. Like, I was having panic attacks. I was turning to like alcohol and all these other vices to numb out because the pressure was so great. And I think for me, I call it a discernment alarm. Like, my spirit was like, this isn't right. Like, this isn't right. This isn't right. And I felt like I kept capitalizing on my kids. So I have to show you because I'm talking to mompreneurs. And so, long story short, basically what happened is, like, I kept feeling convicted to lay down social media. And so I ended up doing weekend fasts. I would delete them off my phone for the weekends. And I was like, wow, I feel so
like a different person.
Like, the veil's lifted off I see the birds. Like, I'm not distracted. And around that same time that I decided to do a longer sabbatical from social, I had gotten off for a month and was like, let's just see what happens. I had a prophetic dream. It was 2018. And I had been praying, like, what am I doing? What is this business, God? Like, I had tried to blog. It was a failure. I had tried YouTube. That was a mess. I was trying everything, Clubhouse, the Instagram thing. And then everything was a grind, a hustle. It was like draining. And I had a dream in 2018, start a podcast. It was clear as day. The words were vivid. And I sat up in bed and was like, I think I got a word. Like, I have to start a podcast. And so I had this staticky microphone. I made my own awful art on Canva. That day, I plugged in my microphone because I'm like, you know what? If that was a word, like, I'm going to do it. And I started speaking that day. And funny enough, I think it was on time blocking or morning routine or something similar to yours.
Safe, right?
And so I launched this thing. And it was crazy, Holly, because at the same time, I'm getting off of social. And I end up in 1 year of podcasting getting 20 hours back because I stayed off social for 2 whole years. I ended up loving it so much. I was like, I'm not going to go back. I ended up getting 20 hours back in my pocket. Podcasting was taking me 2 hours a week, like you, scrappy, doing it myself, editing as I went. And I started getting clients. It went from monthly to weekly to daily inbox requests because they said, I binged your podcast and I know I'm supposed to work with you. And I started coaching people on clarity coaching. That's where I started. I was a one-on-one coach and I would do these clarity business calls. And I went from $80 an hour to $100 an hour in 18 months because the demand. And it got to the point of, whoa, I don't think I can keep one-on-one coaching. Let's think about what this looks like for a course, which is how that kind of ascension was born. And so podcasting to me became this vessel of reaching people all across the world who were exactly my right person. And I got super serious about it and said, how do I make this podcast, a top 20 show? I learned SEO. I learned visibility. I learned podcast positioning, podcast pitching, how I was going to get on other shows. And I just started becoming everything that I could to get better at podcasting. And over that year and a half, my clients started asking, how do I start one? How do I take this business idea you've given me and make it actually viable and make it make money? And so they kind of started following in my footsteps of what I was doing. And that led to today. It's been 8 years, top 20 show, millions of downloads, 7-figure company from the show. We have had hundreds of other people launch really top successful podcasts, making lots of income for themselves and their families, leaving their jobs. It's just been an absolutely amazing vehicle for people to work less and get farther.
Yeah. I love this so much. Okay. Well, there's 2 questions I want to ask. The first one is, a lot of times, because I talk about podcasting quite a bit, but I don't teach it, is what do you say to, there's so many podcasts out there, no one is going to find mine or listen to mine?
Oh, I love this question. So there are so many podcasts out there. You are right. There are so many Instagram accounts, TikTok accounts, YouTube videos. Like, pick your saturated, first of all. But the podcast saturation thing is actually a facade because over 90% of podcasters quit before the 10th episode.
Yeah.
So what you guys will see is when you do go into Apple Podcasts or Spotify and you're looking something up and these podcasts come up and you click on it, most of the shows aren't active. They haven't posted since 2022 or 2024 because podcasting is not a feel-good platform. You post an episode and you don't feel good.
That is so true. That is so true. Like,
there's no virality,
right?
Yeah. There's no likes. There's no comments. There's nothing except downloads, which are a very fickle, strange metric because your downloads don't actually associate with your revenue.
Right.
And so people think, oh, podcasting, everybody's doing it. Are they though? So that's what we've learned is if you can stick with it for a year, you will have out podcasted 90+% of other people who just gave up. Yeah. And to me, I'm like, I'd rather have my foot in the door of something where everyone else is giving up around me. And if I just stay in the game and keep getting better, I'm going to rise to the top simply because other people are falling away out of my category.
Yeah. I love this. Okay. My second question is, when you think about the strategy around creating your podcast and how it kind of creates, we were talking about on your podcast, the circle of turning leads to sales, what does that look like?
Yeah. So for what I want everyone to think about is your podcast is your lead generator. So when we think of lead generation, we have to be clear, boring, basic. I run a boot camp. Holly and people come in and they're like, I have an idea for the show. I'm like, great, tell me. And it's going to be like free and great. I'm like, nope, we're not going to call it that, but I love you because we have to think about what is free, what is great, right? We want to think about, okay, macros for postpartum moms. We want to have affair restoration for Christians. We want to have leave your corporate job. Like, these are the titles of shows because the title is your most important real estate that you have on a podcast. So you want to go blatant. You want to go basic. We then have this next level that I teach called keywords and focus phrases. And these are those next level keywords that people are searching for. And we have a hybrid of doing market research, finding out what your people are actually saying, typing in a ChatGPT, putting into the search bars, and then putting it through software to see what are the actual highest search result terms we can use for your brand. And we utilize that throughout the podcast. We utilize it through the episode titles, the descriptions, the show notes. And then of course, any other place that you're repurposing will point that back to the show as well. And then your art. Your art is such an important one where people think they can skimp. It's I'll make it myself. No, do not be me. Do not make it yourself. Like I feel so strongly about the art. Same. I would rather have people have professional art than a microphone. That's how serious I am about the art, because you got to be a showstopper. 10 episodes come up when somebody types in like fat loss. Well, I need your show to shine. I need people to say, whoa, she looks credible. That looks like it really is going to be a good podcast. So those are important for visibility and lead gen. The next step is we have to engage and collect the lead. So this is where people would listen to the show because you've created consistent content day in, day out, week over week, that's going to solve their problem. So the podcast is never about you. It's always about them. And it's also where they are. One of the greatest mistakes I see podcasters make is they podcast from a position of where they sit. So they sit over here with no more fat loss, for example, and all this muscle mass, and forget that the person way over here is just saying, I don't even know what workout to start with. So we get a little big for our britches, not because we mean to, but because we've grown out of the problem space. So one of the things you can do is constantly go back to number one problem in my person and talk to your people. We do market research all the time. I'm constantly collecting the words my people say and running it through ChatGPT and creating content around it 24/7. And so once they feel seen by you, we then move them to the email list. And I know Holly's a huge advocate of this as well. And we send a weekly email. I know, Holly, you send 3. So that nurture point, that I see you, I love you, let's have a vulnerable conversation right now. That really gets people to start to like you, because the podcast gets them curious about you, interested. They're in it for themselves at that point. They're taking notes, they're implementing, but the email makes it personal. It's, she's a real person and she does have real problems. And this funny thing happened to her this week. It kind of just takes it to that unguarded place. And then the last step is we move them into the solution. And so for me, I only have one solution for people, and it is my 6-month group coaching program. And so we actually have a paid boot camp that they can go through. I also do it free twice a year, but it's basically a live launch. So people come and hang out with me live for 5 days, and we go through the whole method of what it means to make money from a podcast and move them into my 6-month group coaching. They can buy that at any time throughout the year though. And that is the end solution for people. So I think last piece is what's interesting is my downloads have not trended with my revenue. My revenue has exponentially grown year over year over year for the past 8 years, but the downloads haven't. The downloads have been very stagnant. We'll see a little increase, stagnation. Same. But here's the thing that I think is so cool. Your podcast is not meant to hold and capture your people. Your podcast is meant to convert your people. So when we are doing a great job of collecting new leads and quickly converting people, they are no longer sitting on the podcast. They're in your programs. They're working with you one-on-one. And so we've seen, when we look at the metrics, we have on average a 6-week conversion or less. They listen to the podcast, but they binge and they buy. And once they buy, they stop listening because they're no longer a lead. They're actually working on their business, on their podcast. So the podcast, just all of that said, it's a lead generator. It's a conversion tool. It's absolutely amazing for growing a business. If you have the long view, the commitment, the dedication, and the strategy.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many questions I could ask from that, but the things that I love that you said was it's a long-term strategy. I don't know. I can't remember the word that you said, but like, you're not getting instant likes. So I think that's something that
there's no virality.
Like you just have to get used to that. And then, the thing that I love about podcasting the most is it's on your own schedule. And I think the way that you described it, leading to the one thing, and that's something that we teach as well. What's your signature thing that people know you for, so that it's not confusing and it's very clear. If you listen to this podcast, you're going to learn about what this thing is. And I think that's just a really simple way of explaining the strategy behind the scenes.
Yes. Yeah. It's so powerful.
So
and it
powerful.
gives you your time back too. I think that's the other really big one, especially for those of you still working. You're in corporate or you have that job, you're trying to transition. What else can you build that has no shelf life in those few hours a week that you have? It's not social because those things die and wither away in 24 hours. For me, it wasn't YouTube because that is 10x the cost of podcasting. And it's a totally different strategy. There is still an algorithm god that you have to please in order to be shown, which is not the case with podcasting.
Right.
And there really is no other option but to podcast, in my opinion, if you're trying to do this in the least amount of time.
Yes, said so well. I want to ask just a couple of rapid fire, and that is, what is one thing you wish you would have known when you recorded your first episode?
The content matters. Right. When I first started recording, Holly, it was like, what do I feel like talking about? And it was very me-centric, right? It was, I think I have a good morning routine. And I think, I could talk about, I should go look because I bet the first 10 episodes are so funny and all over the place. I remember one that was like how to clear your mind, and it's just random stuff. And so listen, you got to drill this down. It's worth doing a little homework and really getting clear on I call it the micro niche. So not only do you serve a segment of a market, but you serve an identifier within that market. And then you serve a particular who inside of that identifier. For example, nutrition, fat loss, postpartum mom, right? It's that specific. And so when you do that, you go, oh, now I know their number one problem of, I don't know what workouts to do. I have a newborn, or I don't understand how to start working out again postpartum. And you can start making content that actually matters for them. And the sooner you do that, last tip on I wish I knew is less is more. So we often, new podcasters want to have a 45-minute episode with 37 steps on how to hatch chickens. And I'm like, friend, listen, they're scared to even think about the prospect of putting a coop in their backyard. So, one question to ask yourself, if you think you should get chickens, one question, you're going to have 800, 900 episodes before you know it and go, oops, I put way too much into one, because you're going to overwhelm your person and it's going to derail them from listening.
Yeah, such good advice. What's your favorite podcast that you're listening to right now?
My favorite podcast. I'm such a bad consumer. Like I told you, Holly, I don't consume very much. I'm on a
break from listening because I feel like whenever we're in a season, when I was on your podcast, you were talking about how you like rebrand things. We're in a season where we're like updating things. And I feel like if I consume too much, then I'm influenced in the wrong way. And so I'm on a break, but I'm curious.
Seriously, I'm looking at my latest updated. So I do love The Tipping Point with Jimmy Evans. And I've also been listening to one of my students' podcasts, Her Style. She's such a great stylist. She's my personal stylist. So shameless plug.
I love that. If you do come back, I think I might have talked about this on a previous podcast, but Jay Shetty interviewed Madonna.
Ooh.
And it's about her like spiritual journey. It's really, really good.
Wow. Okay.
It's an hour and a half. It breaks all the rules, but I feel like it's Madonna, so it's fine.
Right.
But yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like we're so aligned. There's so many more questions that I could ask you. I think what you've built is really amazing and really just supports that life first business model that we love. If people want to learn more about you and podcasting and all the things you do, tell them where they can find you.
Absolutely. So obviously my podcast, it's called Online Business for Christian Women. And then I actually have a gift for you guys because I love Holly and I'm so excited to be here and just support all of you that listen. My boot camp for you all is going to be free. So you guys can come to stephaniegass.com/bootcamp, which teaches you 5 days of how to build a profitable business using podcasting specifically. And your code is going to be Holly. So HOLLY at checkout. And you'll get that for free just because you came and listened to this episode. And I think that will really help you see, what does this method entail? What could podcasting look like for you in your business? I go through an hour a day for 5 days. You can watch it whenever you want on replay, etc. There's workbooks, homework. It's a deep dive into seeing, what would my podcast look like?
Yeah.
How would that actually be monetized?
Oh my gosh. So exciting. We're going to put that in the show notes. Stephanie, this is so good. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It was so fun.